Number 5.
This was about 4 years ago, so I'm not remembering everything super clearly. I had a friend over after class for dinner and drinks, and I had to drive her home around 1 or 2 a.m. I realized I was almost out of gas, so I pull over at a gas station and pull up to one of those pumps. A car pulls up behind me, and I don't really think anything of it. I'm from a boring suburb of Kansas. But then this guy gets out of his car, doesn't pump gas, but comes up directly to me. He starts asking if I had a boyfriend and why I was out so late at night. Me being the oblivious buffoon that I was like, oh, this guy is so friendly. So I told him, yes, I have one, but he isn't getting into town for another couple of weeks. Big mistake. He starts coming closer, and then my friend pops her head out of the car and basically yells, "Hi, I'm here, and I have a knife." And the man booked it. Then she chewed me out for being so oblivious to the fact that it was late. The guy pulled up behind me. He didn't pump gas, kept getting closer, asked about my boyfriend, and the fact that he had a van with the windows all blacked out. So yeah, creepy gas station man, let's not meet again.
Number 4.
As a child, I was pretty observant and mature for my age. I was 3 and was reading a book at a playground. I don't remember what my adult was, but whatever. A man came up to me and started talking to me. I didn't think much of it and went on with my life. About a week later, my mom and I were going for a walk. The same man walked past us and waved to me. Before we turned down a street, I looked back to where we just walked. About 50 feet behind us, the man was walking in our direction. I didn't think much of it. After those 2 encounters, I saw this man almost everywhere I went. I still remember his van and license plate. I didn't think too much of it. This lasted for a year before I told my mom. She was creeped out and mad I didn't tell her sooner. She said next time I see the man, I need to tell her. Every time I saw the man, he was within hearing distance of my mom, so I couldn't say anything. So he continued to follow me for a while. One time, I didn't realize he was in the same grocery store, and I needed to go to the bathroom. At this point I was 6, so my mom let me walk 2 aisles over alone. As I walked into the empty bathroom lobby area, I heard loud footsteps. When I looked back, the man was quickly coming towards me with a huge smile on his face. I screamed bloody murder and slammed the door to the girls' room. Inside happened to be my aunt. I told her and she went out into the lobby. No one was there. The next week I saw the man's face in the news for being a pedophile. He followed me around for years and had many opportunities to take me if he wanted. As a kid, I was always told that strangers are dangerous, but I couldn't comprehend how someone who looks like a grandpa could be such a bad person. But my mom said, just because they look like your grandfather doesn't mean they are kind like yours. So creepy man I can't erase from my mind. Let's not meet again.
Number 3.
When I was 15, my friends and I would stupidly hitchhike to get across town. On one hitchhiking occasion, an HGV driver stopped and dropped us off at my house. A few days later, he looked up my phone number and he started calling and requesting to speak to me. At first, it was to see if I was interested in going out on a date. I declined as he was in his late 20s, early 30s, and I was 15. I found it creepy and gross. The phone calls became more and more constant, and around a week later, I came outside my home to discover him parked outside in his truck. I ignored him and carried on walking towards my friend's house. He literally slowly drove his truck behind me. He was following me. At this point, I ran back home and informed my dad of everything. The police were called and he was warned off. My dad also contacted his place of employment, as it was written all over his truck, informing them that their employee was using a work vehicle to stalk and harass a minor. This seemed to stop him, other than one voice message left on our answering machine, declaring his love for me and threatening suicide. We also passed this on to the police. I never hitchhiked again. So to the creepy HGV driver, let's not meet again.
Number 2.
15 years ago, when I was about 21, I had a night out with my friends on the Gold Coast in Australia. I walked up the highway at about 2 a.m. alone on my way home. It's about a 10-minute walk. The street lights were on, so the area was pretty well lit, but there were no cars really passing at that hour. I heard the sound of a huge truck coming up the road and thought nothing of it. As soon as the truck almost passed me, I heard the gears changing and the truck slowing down until it stopped. He yelled out and asked me if I needed a lift, which I declined and kept walking. At this point, I thought it was sweet asking a young woman if she needed a lift because I certainly shouldn't have been walking alone. His truck is on the other side of the road, and I can see the door open and he gets out. I freeze for a second, and we make eye contact, and I know I have to run. I ran so fast, all the way through the back streets with him chasing me. Thankfully, he was overweight, so I was able to outrun him. He probably chased me for a good few minutes. I finally got home, ran inside, and woke up my housemate who said I was as white as a ghost. I always think back to that night and wonder what may have happened if he caught me. It's 15 years later, and the anxiety is still as fresh as the day it happened.
Number 1.
I live in a very bad part of town, but the apartments are cheap. It was late at night, and I had just gotten my baby to sleep, and my husband asked me if I could make something to eat. There's a big window looking into the kitchen from outside. We leave those blinds open because we have a few plants growing on the windowsill. As I was cooking, I kept hearing quiet bangs, but these apartments are settling and the foundation shifts a lot, so I didn't think too much of it. When I turned towards the window, I thought I saw something, but I wasn't sure, and I brushed it off as just being tired. A few minutes later, I heard one very loud bang. I turned to see a man with a flashlight banging on the window. I ran back into my room, screaming and crying. My husband ran into the kitchen and checked the window, and I followed him. The guy was gone, but our gate was open and swinging. My husband ran outside and said he saw the guy running down the street, but we found the flashlight in our garden the next morning. It's not as scary as some other stories here, but I've had some really scary experiences in this neighborhood, and that was just the most recent. So, to the creeper banging on my window late at night, let's not meet. Hey guys, for those that watched the first video, I want to say thank you. I appreciate all the support that I've been given so far. I have my email at the bottom, so please feel free to send any requests or submissions. I really love recording these stories, and I'm looking forward to doing more. If you want to keep up with any of my new stories, please feel free to subscribe and put on your notifications.